Kia good morning everyone, Richard Wong here. Today we are going to have a look at the Laowa 4mm f2.8 fisheye lens. This is probably one of the most impractical lenses that I have ever used, but at the same time I feel like this is a lens that everybody should have it in your camera bag. Before I explain to you why I think that, let's go and shoot some video using this lens. Welcome back to my office and let's have a closer look at this Laowa 4mm f2.8 fisheye lens. This is a circular fisheye lens that covers 210-degree field of view. It's a very small lens, probably one of the smallest lenses I have ever used. But while it's small, it doesn't mean it's made like a plastic toy. The lens is pretty much all made of metal. Even though this is a pre-production sample, it feels like a very high quality lens already. Not only the lens is made of metal, the lens cap is also made of metal, and I really like this lens cap because it feels very solid because it's made of metal, and I don't have to worry about losing the lens cap because it fits onto the lens perfectly, not too loose, not too tight. It is a manual focus only lens, but because of the really deep depth of field, manual focus is very easy. If you're shooting at f5.6, you pretty much can leave the focus setting in the middle and you have almost everything in focus. Even if you are shooting at the maximum aperture f2.8, you will still have a very deep depth of field to cover a large range of focus distance. And because this is such a tiny lens and the manual focus ring is actually also very tiny, they have added a focus tab here. This allows you to manual focus quite easily despite the very small manual focus ring. The aperture ring is at the front of the lens, and I really love it because the aperture ring has clicks, and there is one click at each of the stop from the maximum aperture f2.8 all the way to f16. There's a large extruded front element just like a lot of the fisheye lens, and the rear element is actually very tiny. Look at it, it's a very small element. As I mentioned before, the lens has a 210-degree field of view. It means the lens not only can capture everything in front of the front element, it can also capture some of the light behind the lens. This is definitely the widest angle lens I have ever used, and it allows me to capture some photo that is simply impossible with other ordinary lenses. But the really wide field of view also creates some problem. The first one is when you are taking photos or videos, quite often the hand that you are holding the camera will also be inside the frame. So when you're looking at the photos or the video, you see that your fingers is actually in the photo. That means if you don't want to see your finger inside the photo, you have to hold the camera in a different way. You can't just hold it using the normal main grip. You have to hold it either just holding the side of the camera or the bottom of the camera, and just have to be really careful, or otherwise your finger or maybe even your body or your head will be inside the frame. And the second problem is, even if you are being very careful and don't make your finger appear inside the photo, depends on what camera you're using, the grip or some part of the body of the camera could also be in the photo as well. If you look at the sample photos and video I shot in this video, you can actually see that part of the grip of my Lumix G85 is actually inside the frame, and there is really nothing I can do to avoid that from happening. I have also tried using a G9 which has an even bigger grip, and when I take photo with that, I can see even more grip inside the photo. So if you really want to avoid this problem, you have to use a camera with a very small grip. Something like the Panasonic GM5 or the GX85, which has a much smaller grip, will probably be the better camera to use with this lens. So this is one of the reasons why I said at the beginning, this lens is probably one of the most impractical lenses that I have ever used. And another reason why I say it's impractical, because it is a circular fisheye lens. So when you take a photo, the photo only the center circle area would have the photo in it, and everything else would be black. So yeah, you got quite a lot of black space in the photo. So if this is a photo, then you probably can just crop it to a square shape to minimize the black area. But if you are shooting video, then you can't really crop it to a square shape unless you are uploading to Instagram. So what is the point of this lens? And that is exactly what I thought. At least when I first received the lens, I was really struggling to think how people could use this lens. This is actually the second time I shot a review of this lens. Normally after I talk about the body design, the build quality of the lens, I would then move on and do a more in-depth analysis of the image quality. I talk about things like the center image sharpness, the corner sharpness, all those things, and that's exactly what I did in my original first review. But because Laowa want to delay the launch of this lens quite a bit, because after they received some feedback from the people who have used the pre-production sample, they want to make the image circle to be more rounded with the pre-production sample like the one I'm using right now. The top and the bottom of the image does crop off a little bit, so they want to delay the launch to allow them to address the issue. And I have been using the lens for another month, and now I rewatched the review that I have already done, and I felt that was really the wrong way how I should do the review of this lens. Now, I'm not saying the image quality is not important or the image quality from this lens is bad, because it is definitely not true at all. The image quality, especially the sharpness, is actually pretty good, especially consider this is such a small and also affordable lens. It is definitely not perfect. For example, the lens flare and the chromatic aberration are both a little bit more than what I would like to see. But I feel none of this imperfection actually affect how I was having fun, enjoying the lens, and just experimenting different ideas how I can shoot photo and video with this lens. And I feel this is exactly the main point of this lens. Have fun and try something different. I really haven't had so much fun with a lens for a long time, because the size of the lens is so small and also the field of view is so wide. I have been shooting a lot of photos that I have never shot before. For example, I have put the camera in my fridge and shot a photo like this. And I also put the camera inside my washing machine and I shot a photo like this. And this is another photo I shot. Basically, I just leave the camera underneath the windscreen of my car. With this lens, I feel like I suddenly have the power to take many very different and unique photos, and I pretty much only limited by my own imagination. Forget about the rule of thirds or any other photography composition rules you learned in the past, because with this lens, you really should just use your creativity and just have fun and shoot some very different photo that you normally can't do with the ordinary lenses. But to be honest, even the last 2 months, I didn't use this lens every day because the field of view is so wide and so distorted. So it's quite an impractical lens if you want to use it to shoot the normal everyday photos. But because the lens is so small, so light, and also the price is so affordable, so I feel like everyone should really just get one and leave it in your camera bag, even if you are not going to use it every day. And because of the circular image output, this lens is actually very good if you want to create some very unique Instagram or YouTube or Facebook profile photo as well. And then I thought, now I captured some pretty interesting photo with this lens. What about if I use it to shoot some videos? With the huge amount of distortion, you can create some really crazy looking video when you have the camera moving or just pointing it and rotating it to different orientation. And if you put this lens on a small micro four thirds camera, I reckon it will be a great video camera for capturing sports or fast action at a close distance, and also first person view video, because basically it would be a GoPro on steroid. You have much better image quality, even wider field of view, and also you have a lot more control from the micro four thirds camera and also the lens itself. Unfortunately, I don't have a drone that can take micro four thirds lenses. Otherwise, I would really love to fly a drone through some really tight area, and I think that would create some really interesting video as well. Before we finish this review, I would like to share with you some of the video I shot using this lens. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video.